My guest today is Angi Izzi, Senior Director of Partnerships and Digital Sales at Autodesk Construction Cloud. Angi has over 25 years of career success developing and executing operational strategies to promote product recognition in the building design software market. She has extensive experience leading operations for technology, business development, and application development within AEC software solutions. Welcome to the show, Angi.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, looking forward to it. So before we really dive into everything, I always like to kind of get people's origins stories and how'd you get into the construction industry to begin with?
I had this really long, strange, complex way I actually arrived here. So, I actually started my career as an architect. Went to
Okay.
Georgia Tech, and I graduated with an architectural degree. And I just had this way I wanted to, form this industry. And as things progressed in my career, when I started as an architect, I found technology. I found 3D technology kind of before BIM was actually really around. And I just got obsessed with it. And so I actually started as a consultant helping customers or helping other architects innovate and change their workflows. And as I saw that, I found these technologies consult. And so I became a reseller of an architectural software. And that was a lot of fun. Did that for about 15 years and actually established a business there in Atlanta where Applied is. And then actually I decided that it was time for me to move to a corporate career. Sold that company and moved over into to Autodesk. So I joined Autodesk actually over 12 years ago now and started actually running our architectural strategy. And I was responsible for our global strategy for architecture. It was really fun.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things that we actually I'm seeing today. They're actually coming to fruition that we planned and strategized around 8 years ago even.
Yeah.
And then actually about 3-4 years ago, I decided to make a career change and move over into our construction solutions group. And so now I manage our partnerships and our e-commerce business over on the construction team.
Yeah. Very cool. What was it about that you saw in construction that made you want to go over from architecture to construction?
Well, I'm not going to say that we have totally digitalized architecture. I don't want to say that, but we've made big strides there.
Mhm.
And I feel like I wanted a new challenge. And a new challenge would be the construction industry, which is really, there's this big opportunity in front of us to digitize it. And we haven't really realized it. Not sure any company has really realized how to actually move this industry forward.
Yeah. I feel like the last 3 years, especially in the construction space, the technology conversations have so changed and taken huge leaps forward. Have you seen that on your side, and how have those kind of conversations started from when you first started to what you're having now on the digital transformation front?
Well, what's been interesting is, we made these big investments in construction. So
Mhm.
our CEO staff and our company really strategized to acquire some pretty interesting companies, some startups that were doing disparate things. They're very much, I would say they're very much developed out to support individual workflows. And we saw an opportunity to acquire them. We acquired some really companies that had a lot of users, actually, PlanGrid being one of them. And those that it was really interesting because that was great strides that people had made in that particular market, in that particular like for PlanGrid in field construction, in building connected in our pre-construction and bid management. So it's really interesting because we saw this great opportunity, but we wanted to realize it into one platform. And that's really what the promise was, is driving everything into one platform. And I think
Mhm.
that's what is exciting about this industry, is the change that we can all institute in the industry.
Yeah. So kind of digging down into that, Autodesk has kind of the stated vision of creating that truly connected construction environment. Over the last several years, you guys have clearly been embarking on making this become a reality with the platform that ACS is developing. How does having a platform really help enable kind of that better connectivity across design and make?
Well, what I think is really interesting is, just starting with our design business, and looking where we've been. The design offerings, that's really where we started. That's our roots. Our roots are
Mhm.
AutoCAD and in the acquisition of Revit, and that goes back a long way. But what we really have an opportunity to do is building a connective tissue, to drive our design offerings with a connected experience to pre-design tools, conceptual design tools, green building, sustainability, data management, and connecting those together. And really, the only way to do that is through a platform. Is using a platform, and for us, it's a cloud platform. Not everyone sees it that way, but for us, it's cloud. Cloud is a big part of that. And with all of these point solutions that we acquired, now we have the ability to better connect to our extended tools. And that's really what our strategy was. And now we're starting to realize it. I think our biggest opportunity is, what used to be called Forge, but now we call it Autodesk Platform Services. I know we change names a lot, and I'm not in charge of names of products, thank goodness. But it's actually, I have to say that we do it for a reason. Forge, I don't think we got really much. The naming convention wasn't really noticed. And I think as Autodesk Platform Services, what we're trying to show is that we're going to have three platforms moving forward. Our three platforms are going to be Fusion, Forma, and Flow. But in order for those to work as platforms on a connected design to make, scenario, like in your question, we have to have the connected tissues in the background of that for the cloud to enable those extended workflows. And that's what Autodesk Platform Services are.
Yeah. So for those who aren't familiar with Fusion, Forma, and Flow, what are those three, and how do they kind of work together? But they're in their separate space, but how do they kind of come together?
Yeah, they are in their separate spaces. And, Fusion is really around, designers, engineers, and manufacturers, and helping them innovate products and prototypes quickly. And so that's really our product, kind of our product engineering platform.
Mm-hmm.
And, so that's one platform. Our second platform, Forma, that's our design platform, or actually I'll say our platform to revolutionize how designers and architects create, which is extremely powerful. We actually just launched it. We have our first version of it live today, and I hope people have a chance to go check it out. But and that's around our AEC business is Forma, and then the third platform you mentioned is Flow, and Flow is very much part of our performance and efficiency for manufacturing, and it really is around cutting edge simulation and analysis tools for those users. And so those are three platforms that we are really strategizing around. And I actually really excited, super excited about what these platforms bring.
Yeah, very cool. One of the kind of mini soapbox things of mine as of late is picking up on something that Amy Marks actually brought up of the expected experience of construction, and how we settle for things seemingly in construction that we would never put up with in our personal life. And the case that she uses in that is with Amazon, for example. The exact specs, you can track it all the way through. The timing of when it's going to be delivered. Every single specification that you could possibly want, and all the customizations that exist. And yet, when it comes to construction, we seem to not pull in the same kind of expected experience and the expectations that we have in our personal life into the industry. How have you seen that kind of changing and growing, and maybe people becoming more demanding on what they expect of technology?
So, I mean, I think that it's actually just the evolution of technology, altogether.
Mm-hmm.
I just participated in a simulation event, for our executive staff, and it was fantastic just to see how, an industry like surfing, for instance, and the evolution of that industry based on cameras and technology for like GoPro cameras. And the old days, you needed a crew and you needed a lot more manpower to actually do production, but you're
Mm-hmm.
actually able to produce real time. information through a GoPro. And it's just, I just see that all these industries change, and the way that they evolve is based on technology and the way that technology drives it. And I think it's very similar for construction.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Can you walk through some of the evolutions and the transformations that have been going on with the enhancements of the ACS platform?
Yeah, I think one of the big things that, one of the big things in the evolution is when companies are acquired, when companies acquire the companies, I feel like that they, this is just kind of where we've been. I feel like that they acquire and then they continue to run that product parallel. And the whole idea is that they will acquire the customer and then continue to evolve that product into the next generation. And what I'm super proud of this. I'm super proud to be on a team where we actually acquired six different disparate softwares, I'll say, and we made a decision to evolve them into one platform. And so unify them into one specific platform. And that is actually a really hard thing to do. And I actually didn't realize how hard it was until we were in the middle of this whole transformation. And I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't realize this is like, you can't just take this software and move it over to this platform. And that's why I'm not in development. Um, but it is actually a very tough thing to do. And I'm very proud of what the team has done. And so you imagine those six startups that we started with. And, I'll talk about PlanGrid for a moment. We have PlanGrid and BIM 360. We started with BIM 360. About 7 years ago now, we started developing it. And the whole idea, it was a collaboration platform for designers and construction companies. And back when we started it, there wasn't a lot of innovation when it came to with field technology and how you can actually imagine RFIs and submittals in the field. And PlanGrid was already on that journey at that point, and they had actually figured out a lot of the field technologies and the way that field engineers work. And what we did is we decided to marry those together. And it wasn't simple just to move PlanGrid to BIM 360 and move BIM 360 PlanGrid. It's actually very difficult to do. So we actually created and took both of them and meshed them together into one platform. And that's what Autodesk Construction Cloud has become. And it's become not only a place where construction companies work, our construction companies work on their projects, but it actually has become a place where designers can start and imagine a plan or imagine a design, and then at the same time, the architects can work at the same time with the pre-construction and with the idea of being able to do bid management, estimation, and everything at the project level. But they don't actually have to own the design. They can just have a picture of that design or a imagine of that design. And then at the same time, being able to have a field team that is imagining the RFIs in the field, but everyone has a connected experience. And that is what we've done by taking PlanGrid, Building Connected, and taking ProEst, which is our estimation software that we've acquired, and taking TradeTap, which is actually taps in the trade, so we understand the trade experience. And so there's six different companies we've acquired, and slowly over the last 2.5 years, we've taken those individual experiences and brought them into one platform. And so, you ask, what is our evolution? How have we worked? Well, we really concentrated on getting those actual user experiences into that one platform. Now, is everything at parity today? No, we haven't gained parity with each one of the individual point solutions, but we're getting close. And that's the thing that I'm probably most excited about right now is we took AutoSpecs, we just recently announced AutoSpecs, which was part of our pipe acquisition. And we brought that actually into the platform now, and we just launched that. And so super exciting seeing all these point solutions realized in our platform.
Yeah, I think what's really cool is there's always something new going on with ACS. You guys are updating it constantly, and there's new features and new point solutions. I feel like coming into it all the time, which is awesome. And then
I just looked, and we have 50 new features in March.
Oh wow!
And so that's talking about I remember the old days of desktop software where, once a year we had a big update.
Yeah.
And, the agile technology of cloud where you can actually release features live on a monthly basis is pretty fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Another really cool thing that I see with ACS is construction across the board is can be very siloed off, and the architects are working in their platform, the GCs in theirs, and the subs in theirs, and they don't really like to mix into
All
the
about
different
ownership of
programs.
data. I want to own my data.
Yeah, but you guys are really helping to kind of break down some of those silos and creating a space where people can be friends and work in the same
Right,
environment, which is
right.
needed.
We can't, we can't always be the best friend maker but we try really hard to break down those barriers, at least to have them collaborate together.
Yeah. So what's kind of the future roadmap for ACC as we look over the next couple of years?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, we want, as I mentioned, these six different acquisitions, pulling all those point solutions together and getting them under the hood into
Mhm.
one platform is actually super important to us. The other thing that's important to us is a collaboration experience that where the ownership of data. So I talked a little bit about owning data, and you alluded that making sure that we have the different organizations as friends. But we have this technology called Bridge, and Bridge allows disparate data and federated data so that different companies can actually own their data, but only give access to the extended team. And I think that's the biggest thing that's really changing the way that we work together.
Mhm.
From the introduction of Collaboration Cloud, very early, like 6, 7 years ago, where basically you'd invite somebody into your project and everyone kind of had access to it and they could make changes and you couldn't manage who made changes. We're beyond that now. We're at the point where we can actually can own your data, you can share your data, and it's just like contractual terms that it's very close to contractual terms, I should say, in the ownership of data.
Yeah. Very cool. So you mentioned about the desktop experience versus now moving to the cloud. How's shifting from a desktop product offering to an overall cloud platform help drive better business outcomes that address the unique needs of the client?
So I think there's a couple of things here. I think one is just always available, being always available, and everything's always up to date. So I think that's the
Hmm.
biggest thing is just a collaboration experience allows you the most up to date data at your fingertips. I think that's probably the primary thing. The second thing is, and from where I sit in the organization, is how you acquire the solutions. So, from an enterprise perspective, cloud allows us a better way of driving enterprise purchasing. So, it's not always about purchasing on a user-based experience, on a user experience. When I was actually on the other side of the house in AEC and responsible for our Revit business, it's always a user of Revit is typically using that product all day long. It's just what they use. It's the tool they use all day long.
Hmm.
But when you get into cloud and you get into construction technologies, and it's a little bit more complex. If you look at the ecosystem of all the products construction persona uses in a day, it's not just a desktop solution. It's not just Revit, like the architect. It's going to be an estimation solution, perhaps, and then maybe they have to do an RFI, and then they need to sit in the submittal, and they may also have 3 different solutions they use that are not by the same software provider. And so, from an enterprise experience, it changes. It changes the way you purchase software. It's no
Hmm.
longer a user based solution. You buy it for your whole company. And I think that's a big part of the evolution in enterprise experience, especially from an AEC software. We give you access based on maybe your project, your overall project expense or your company expense, and we price it that way and allow to package that way. And I think that this is a really big part of the change in how we allow users to experience their usage. And so I think that's a big change as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to pivot a little bit into so when somebody purchases ACC. What are some ways that you encourage customers to really think about adopting the new technology to be able to implement it successfully, not just to, you know, buy the, get the keeping up with the Joneses of we need this because everybody else is doing it, but how do you really implement it well?
I like the idea though that you get it because everybody else
Yeah,
is doing it.
yeah.
I love that idea. That's exactly the way I'd love to see it. I wish it was that easy. Um, but the experience, I think that the biggest thing is understanding what you want your workflows to be, your overall workflows.
Mhm.
And as a customer, if I put my customer hat on for a moment and I think about the customer, I think the customer needs to understand what are the outcomes that you're looking for. What do you want to achieve with this particular technology? And not only that, but how do you want to connect it to the other technology in your office? And so I think that's the biggest thing, understanding the outcome that you want. And then after you understand the outcome that you want, I think there's a discovery that occurs in how you want it to react and how you want the technology to work together. And I think that's where our partner network comes into play. And that's why we work so closely with our channel partners and with our services partners to develop those services and the plan to achieve success. It's a success plan. So you sit down with the customer and you figure out, okay, these are the things we have to do to be successful. The number one thing is we have to train our people. We have to change the way that they think about this particular way they do their job, and we need to make sure we train them to work appropriately. And then
Mhm.
there's a second part of that that's the integration part of it. So what are we going to integrate? We may have to do some services to make sure we integrate everything on the back end so it all works together properly. But then we also need to make sure that that's the right way that the customer wants to achieve it. And then we provide the services to do that. And that training services, onboarding services, adoption services, all those things are really key to make sure that the customer is successful.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I'm biased, but I think when it's the partnership of the client, the with Autodesk, with the uh, business kind of reseller, that's where it's you get a really strong, because you see all those different vantage points and you can kind of crowdsource a lot more of what the industry kind of standards and best practices are. You can bring that to the client's needs and customize it to the unique uh, dynamics that are happening.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I always say that our channel is our superpower because, I mean, I think that we can realize software and develop it and help with the sales process, but realizing that on site with the customer is really where our partners come into play.
Mhm. Yeah. So, are there certain kind of key building blocks that you have found to really put in place even before technology conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the key things that we want to know that if I was a customer, I think the key thing that I would want to know is, what is it that I want to achieve? What are the key outcomes I want to achieve, kind of like from the services standpoint. But I
Mhm.
think that's important for just selecting a software, selecting a technology, selecting a tool. What is it I want to achieve? Do I want to make sure that I have better collaboration between my architect and my contractor? Just understanding what you want to achieve
Mhm.
and what you want your each individual persona in your company to achieve.
Yeah. No, I think that's huge. It seems a lot of times that people kind of go into the software conversation and think that, well, we're just going to buy the software and snap our fingers and it's going to magically fix all of
I,
our problems,
that's,
which would be great. And it can solve a lot. But I think going in with a plan of kind of what you mapped out earlier of really thinking through how is it going to impact on the training resources? How do we need to kind of work through the change management? That's what's going to really set up and let the software really shine and flourish to get all the bells and whistles that you're hoping for. That only comes when you have that roadmap and that plan ahead of
yeah,
time.
I think the integrations are really important as well. And I think one of the biggest realizations that I've had over the last 3 or 4 years is that our customers don't only use our software. I don't know why I thought that. No, I'm just kidding. I never really thought that. But um, they don't just use Autodesk technology. They use
Mhm.
a lot of other different technologies for point solutions, for ERP solutions, etc. And so one of the key things on the Autodesk construction solution side is that we want to be better stewards of integrations from an open API perspective and making sure that we have APIs that allow other partners and other solutions to connect with us and have that hook, if you will, to grab data from our platform or bring their data into our platform.
Yeah, that interoperability play is huge for sure. What do you see as kind of the next steps in the industrialization of the industry at large?
Oh, wow. So I wish I had Amy here. I wish I had Amy to help me with that. So from an industrialized construction, if I look at industrialization, I think the biggest thing is kind of pointing back to our original part of our conversation, which was our platforms, the three platforms of Fusion, Forma, and Flow. I think that those particular solutions and those platforms will help us be that connected tissue and underlying tissue to help industrialize construction. I'm really excited about some of the things that we've already started to do to connect those platforms together and connect those workflows. And we have some very intelligent people that have been working on that for a while here. And it's exciting. It's exciting seeing that, connecting construction manufacturing, whether it's from connecting from a on-site building perspective and being able to build and realize things, on site and building, building everything in a factory before it actually hits a project site. Those are really key things that we're able to do with this technology and connecting them together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So one of our kind of key tenets of the podcast is really centered around innovation. And I think the industrialization plays into that for construction for sure. What does innovation mean to you?
Oh, wow. So, innovation to me is really thinking about the end in mind. Yeah, I think that when we look at how we innovate for our customers, it's about connecting not only all of these disparate, connected experiences that we need to do today, that we need to actually help our customers with today, but it's also looking at sustainability at the same time. And I think that that's one of the key things that I'm not sure anyone's really done a great job at for construction. We're trying very desperately to achieve the individual workflows that each one of the personas on the project need. But to connect that to sustainability, I think that's really key. And looking at how we do less with more, how we're able to create less waste. All of those things are extremely important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think the solving the digital side of things and getting more efficient on that, to me, it doesn't get as much playtime of that is helping have major impact on the sustainability side of things. We think sustainability, at least in my mind, I naturally tend to go to the physical side of things rather than the digital first. But I heard this stat or this quote recently, and I've loved it, is digital waste exponentially leads to physical waste. And so if we can streamline and get efficient on the digital side, that really solves a lot of the physical waste and sustainability issues on that side.
Yeah, I think the other thing is data and how we utilize data. There's some really smart ways we can take data, and that's it's just a byproduct of what we're doing, and we don't think about that as much as we should. We are thinking a lot about how AI comes into play, and you talk about what's not only sustainability, we have to figure out exactly how AI plays in construction. We have the data, and with collaboration platform, being able to have all the data in one place. Now being able to extract that data and do the right things with it. What is a connected intelligence experience? How do we make sure that we take all that data and use it to predict and analyze in the right ways? And so I think that to me is the exciting part of innovation.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not too far off.
Yeah, I mean, it's like how
it can seem like it's distant.
And figure out how to analyze my building.
Yeah, that'd be cool. All right, Angie, this is one of my favorite questions that I ask everybody. If I could give you all power and you could snap your fingers and innovate one thing in the construction industry, what would you pick to innovate?
Oh, interesting question. I think that I think the biggest problem is waste. I mean, I come back to that. I just think that when I built my home, I just noticed how much waste there is in a construction site. And if there's one superpower I'd love to have is just like erase all the waste in construction, deliver everything just with on time, on budget, and with the right amount of material.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Well, how do people find out more information on ACS?
So you can go to construction.autodesk.com to find out more information. But I think it'd be really cool for you to see our latest commercial. What do you think?
Awesome. Let's do it. Thanks so much for taking the time, Angie. We'll go right into this commercial.
Hey! Tell Kevin we need to redo this wall!
We have to demo it all! The electricians won't play ball!
Redesign the hall?
I'll tell Nathaniel.
Material recall.
Okie dokie.
They're gonna fire Paul.
What did I do?
Make it 3 feet tall! Free meatballs?
Fire the wrecking wall!
Yeah, the pipe's too small!
Recall!
Hexagonal!
Horizontal?
Greg! We need to install
A waterfall.
Cool waterfall.
Be on the same page at every stage with Autodesk Construction Cloud.
Where's Paul?